When the second night arrived, they went to the bedchamber, and King Arvand took pleasure with the minister-daughter. After that, the minister-daughter rose from the bed and sat at its foot. Lydia said, "O sister, complete the tale of the merchant and the demon." Mira replied, "If the king permits, I shall continue." The king granted permission.
Mira said, "O fortunate king," the owner of the deer said to the demon, "O prince of the demons." The calf cried and rubbed its face on the ground. My heart was filled with mercy for it. I said to the shepherd, "Release this calf." At that moment, this deer, who is the daughter of my uncle, stood before me, watching closely, urging me to kill the calf, saying, "Slaughter this calf, for it is plump and fat." Yet I could not bring myself to kill it. So I gave it to the shepherd, and the shepherd took it away. The next day, the shepherd returned to me with glad tidings and said, "I have a daughter who in her childhood learned magic from an old magician." When I brought the calf home, my daughter covered her face and wept, then suddenly laughed and said, "Father, why do you bring a strange man into our house?" I asked, "What man? And why do you weep and laugh?" She replied, "This calf is the son of a merchant. His father's wife bewitched him and his mother, turning them into a cow and a calf. I laughed because I recognized him, and I wept because his father slaughtered his mother." O prince of the demons, when I heard this from the shepherd, I left my house in great joy and went at once to the shepherd's house. His daughter greeted me, kissed my hand, and stood respectfully aside. Then the calf came forward, rubbed its face upon the ground, and rolled in the dust. I said to the shepherd's daughter, "Is what you said about this calf true?" She replied, "Yes, he is your son." I said, "If you free him from this suffering, I will grant you such wealth that you will never know need." She smiled and said, "I have no need of wealth, but you must promise that if I remove the spell from this calf, you will marry me to him and allow me to cast magic upon the woman who bewitched him, so that I may be safe from her evil." I said, "The blood of my cousin is lawful to you, do as you wish." She filled a bowl with water, recited a spell over it, and sprinkled it upon the calf. At once, the calf was transformed into a human being. I embraced him and kissed his eyes, and I married the shepherd's daughter to him. She in turn transformed my cousin into a deer. This is that deer you see. Wherever I go, I take her with me. When I reached this place, I encountered this merchant and heard his story, so I remained to learn the outcome of his fate. O prince of the demons, this is my tale, and this is the story of the deer. The demon said, "This is a wondrous tale. I forgive 1/3 of his blood." At that moment, the second old man stepped forward and said, "O prince of the demons, these 2 dogs were once my brothers. When our father passed away, he left behind 3,000 gold dinars as an inheritance. I opened a shop and engaged in trade while one of my brothers set out on a journey. After a year, he returned in poverty. I took him into my shop and gave him 1,000 dinars as capital. We worked together for some time. Later, both of my brothers decided to travel and asked me to join them. I had no desire for travel and warned them of its hardships and dangers. They abandoned the journey as well. For 6 years, each of us worked separately in our own shops. After that, I agreed to travel with them. We gathered our wealth. It amounted to 6,000 dinars. I proposed that we bury half of it underground as a reserve, in case our merchandise was lost, and take the other half for trade. My brothers approved of this plan, and we did exactly as I suggested. Then we set out and boarded a ship. For 1 month, the ship sailed until we reached a city. We sold our goods there at great profit and gained a slave as well. After that, we returned to the seashore, intending to continue our journey. There I saw a young woman. She spoke to me and said, "Can you show me kindness and receive a good reward in return?" I said, "Yes, I can show you kindness." She said, "Marry me and take me to your city." My heart was moved with compassion for her. I brought her aboard the ship, dressed her in fine garments, placed her in a comfortable lodging, and grew deeply attached to her. I kept myself apart from my brothers and spent all my days and nights with her. My brothers became jealous of me, wanted my wealth, and tried to kill me. While I slept beside the girl, they cast both of us into the sea. At once, the girl transformed into an angel. She carried me to an island, disappeared from my sight for a while, then returned and said, "I am one of the fairies who believes in the messenger of God. Because love for you had taken root in my heart, I appeared to you in human form. Now know that I intend to kill your brothers as punishment for their treachery." I was astonished by her words. I begged her not to kill them, swore her to mercy, and said, "They are my brothers, no matter what they have done." Then the fairy lifted me into the air, and in the blink of an eye, set me upon the roof of my own house. I went inside, took out the 3,000 dinars we buried, and returned to my shop. That evening, when I came home, I saw these 2 dogs chained together. When they saw me, they jumped toward me, gripped my clothes, and wept bitterly. I did not yet know the truth of the matter. Suddenly, the girl appeared and said, "These are your brothers. They shall remain in this form for 10 years. And so I kept these 2 dogs with me, wandering from place to place, until their 10 years might be completed and they be freed. When I arrived here, I heard the story of this young merchant, and I did not leave until I learned how his fate would end." When the old man finished his tale, the demon said, "You have told a fine and marvelous story. I forgive another third of his blood."
When the tale of the second old man was finished, the third old man spoke to the demon and said, "I too have a story, more wondrous than the tales of the other 2. Grant me permission to tell it, and if it pleases you, spare the remainder of this young man's blood." The demon replied, "Tell it." The old man said,
"O prince of the demons, this mule was once my wife. I once set out on a journey and traveled through many cities for an entire year. When I returned, it was midnight as I entered my home. I found my wife sleeping with a black slave. When she saw me, she rose at once, took a jar of water, breathed a spell upon it, and sprinkled it over me. Instantly, I was transformed into a dog, and she drove me out of the house. I wandered through streets and markets until I reached a butcher's shop, where I began to bite the bones. When the butcher closed his shop and returned home, I followed him. When we reached his house, the butcher's daughter saw me, turned her face away, and said, "Father, why have you brought a strange man into our house?" The butcher said, "What strange man?" She replied, "This dog is a man whom his wife has turned into this form by spell, and I am able to restore him to his original shape." The butcher wanted me to be free and asked his daughter, promising strongly. She brought a jar of water, recited a spell over it, and sprinkled it upon me. At once I returned to my human form. I kissed her hands and feet and begged her to turn my wife into a mule by magic. She gave me a little of that water and said, "When you find your wife asleep, sprinkle this water upon her and wish whatever you desire, she will become it." So I took the water and sprinkled it upon my wife while she slept, wishing that she become a mule. Immediately she was transformed, and this mule you see before you is she. The demon marveled greatly at this tale and asked the mule, "Is this story true?" The mule nodded its head, signaling that his words were true. The demon was overcome with wonder and delight, and he forgave the rest of the merchant's blood.
When Mira reached this point in the story, dawn broke, and she fell silent. Her younger sister Lydia said, "Oh, sister, what a marvelous tale you have told." Mira replied, "If I am saved and the king does not put me to death, I shall tell tomorrow night the tale of the fisherman, a story far more delightful than this." The king said to himself, "She tells wondrous stories. I will not kill her, so that I may hear the rest." When morning came, the king sat in council and attended to the affairs of the kingdom. In the afternoon, he rose from the council chamber and returned to the palace. Thank you for staying with us until now. The story of the fisherman will be in the next video. To enjoy more 1001 Nights stories, please support our channel by subscribing, and don't forget to like, comment, and share.